So back to Manju, as Dr. Das said about institutional capacity, judicial capacity, and whether we need ex ante regulation, there's this question about the goals of competition law in regulating digital markets. And for the EU, we know it's about fairness and contestability, in which fairness is a very subjective notion. And for India, I've seen an additional goal of transparency. Do you think that these goals are achievable if the bill was to be passed into an act?
Vela, that's a great question. But as someone that's worked with the government for the past 5 years in terms of advising them, something that becomes very important here to ask is not that whether this goal is important to pursue, but also an additional question of at what cost are we willing to pursue this goal? And that's a crucial question that I'm not sure the opportunity cost of, and as Dr. Dar also said, the opportunity cost of, enforcing the law in its current form has been analyzed, because if we make a quick comparison to the kind of reports or the kind of studies that were done elsewhere that sort of supported a legislative framework, or an ex ante framework, like take the platform services inquiries that are happening in Australia, or the Furman Committee report, or the EU's report on ex ante law, etc. I think there was a clear demarcation of, or there was a clear idea in terms of who we were going after, and that also necessarily meant a clarity on who we are definitely not going after. Now, there is a twofold problem here. One, as Amber said, we have not really carried out a market study to really understand who is really competing with the likes of Amazons or Googles, and what markets are they really competing with, and are they competing with an Amazon or a Google or a Facebook for that matter? And that's one part of the problem. And second, a direct import of a lot of EU's thresholds also means that we're comparing the EU's economy to Indian economy, which is honestly a comparison of apples to oranges. Just to give you an example of the kind of competition that there is in India, and this is not to say that Indian digital markets are not concentrated, but I'm trying to here bring out a difference in degrees to which they are perhaps concentrated in the way they differ from EU versus India. So for an Amazon, you have a direct competition with by Flipkart, and right now, quick commerce is also something that's very, very quickly catching speed in India. You have Blinkit that offers a 10-minute delivery, and that's giving Amazon a very, very strong competition. For every when you look at the food delivery market too, you have you have a Swiggy, you have a Zomato that is sort of competing head to head with one another. But maybe Uber Eats is one of the only few platforms that works elsewhere in the world when it comes to food delivery. When you even perhaps look at ride sharing services, for an Uber, you have a very well developed Ola or a Nammayatri that's built on India's digital stack, that is, giving it a very good competition, or a Rapido for that matter. So I think what I'm trying to highlight here is that, yes, these are a handful of players that I'm sort of pointing out, but at the end of the day, this means that going after the big ones, the big players in these markets, will have opportunity cost in terms of going after perhaps the not so big ones also, because these thresholds are not customized to meet Indian thresholds, but are direct imports of what's happening under the DMA. And this is for me somewhere a little unsettling, because when you look at the